get caught up in the streets yourself?
Very much so. I mean, at that time, we didn't have rappers that we could look up to or aspire to. My heroes were the ghetto stars. You know, I wanted to be like Fat Cat. I wanted to be like Alpo, Pappy Mason, Bimbo, any of those cats that I saw at that time from afar. That was my look of success, in a weird warp type of way. Then not to mention my father, who was out there in them streets and very successful, at least to the appearance of the neighborhood and others, driving the best car you could drive, dressing the way he drove. I mean, when I went to the movies to go see the black exploitation films, that look was right there in my home. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when I did go to school and when I went to school, and we had these things called the assemblies where you had to wear white shirts with dark pants. It'd be like once a month. You wouldn't go to a regular class. That day, I think it was like on a Wednesday, all the classes would come to the auditorium for an assembly. And with the assembly, they'd have a special guest. It would either be a bank president or a firefighter, these people that you could aspire to be. But when they would describe their life at home, it wasn't anything I could relate to. They didn't talk about, you know, when you flicked on the lights in the middle of the night in the kitchen, how thousands of roaches would run for cover. They didn't talk about if you didn't have any heat in your home, how your father, when my father was home and not in prison, would talk about, hey, make sure that you put the oven door down and put this oscillating fan on the door so the heat could spread out throughout the house.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me. Just in case you're joining me for the very first time, I'm your host, Brian Glaze Gibbs. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It's free. Hit that subscribe. It don't cost you a dime. Hit that subscribe button. Hey, listen, I was listening to a VLADTV interview. And right now, one of his counterpart was doing an interview on these guys. And right now, he's doing an interview on Play. This is Play right here. Play is, you know, right now, one half of Kid and Play. Kid and Play right now was into the hip hop industry. And when I'm trying to say, hola, hola, hey, boom, boom, do, 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 boom, boom. They was like clean cut, like, you know what I'm saying, hip hop. Like, you know, you want to go down there and have that little house party, have the little, like, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, club music. That was Kid and Play, man. That's what it was all about. When you hear their music right now, everybody get up and dance. So to me, to hear him on an interview with the Vlad, you know what I'm saying, talking or whatever, and some of the things that he was talking about, you know, right now is like who he looked up to when he was coming up in the street. He said when he was coming up in the street, and he's like, what, a year older than me? He said right now is they didn't have no rappers back then, which is true, okay? You know, you had Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and all that, but, you know, right now, here it is. He said he didn't have nobody to look up to. So the people that he looked up to was Fat Cat, Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichols, okay? Howard Pappy Mason, and Alpo. Sit back and look at it, man. Okay? To me, like where you got young black kids looking up to street legend, looking up to criminals, looking up to drug dealers, stick-up kids, murderers. You know, what that tell you? What that tell you about our state of mind? What that tell you, like, you know, they looking up to these drug dealers, okay? People that's polluting our community, people that destroying our community because they trying to make a fast hustle, they trying to make a fast dollar. They want to take the easy way out. But you looking at people that's into, I'm talking about, got into the rap industry. And when you look at it and say, when he was coming up, he didn't look at, or they couldn't look and relate to as far as the banker. They couldn't relate to, you know, the firefighters or law enforcement or people that was in that legal field. They was more like into and following behind criminal based upon what they know. Whoa, that's deep. That's deep. And what I'm trying to say is that got to stop. That got to stop now. Later for idolizing the Fat Cat, the Pappy, the Alpo, the Supreme, the Prince, the Brian Glaze Gibbs, the Baby Sam. Later for idolizing these individuals, the Boy George. Later for that. Why? Because once again, we idolizing these individuals all for the wrong reason. I'm talking about idolizing, looking up to them like they are somebody. How can they be somebody when they're destroying the community? How can they be somebody when they're killing up our very own people? People that look like us. But yet and still we think that is justified. Yet and still we think that's cool. Yet and still we want to, some people want to be like Mike. I try to be like Mike, but I want to be like Fat Cat. I try to be like Fat Cat, like Alpo. I try to be like Alpo, like, Pappy Mason. I try to be like Pappy Mason. No, boys and girls. That's backwards. That's that ghetto mentality, and that's backwards. We got to lose that negative ghetto mentality, because once again, it's a sick mentality to have. Even what I find what was interesting, something that he said, and anybody that grew up in any type of urban environment understand this. Where as far as right now, you're in the dark, you can't see anything. But as soon as you turn on that light, you see roaches spreading, going all over the place. And the difference is right now, when you say these bankers used to come to the assembly, or the firefighters, or any professional individuals come in there, they couldn't relate to them because they look at and listen to how they live. I'm talking about clean home, heat. They didn't have no roaches. You have some kids that grew up, and you know what they had to do to have a meal in the morning time? They used to have to pluck these roaches, these cockroaches, take them out of their cereal to eat. How gross and disgusting is that? But guess what? That's reality. So what I'm just trying to say right now is, guess what? What we have to do is start or stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, paying attention or letting the street hoods or the street celebrity be our role model or be our kids' role model. What we have to do is develop working habit, doing it right the first time, and get out there and teaching our kids and living by example that, guess what? It's nothing slick about life. It's nothing, right now, easy about life. If life was easy, life wouldn't be worth living. So when I look back and I listen to this Vlad interview, and I'm listening to, my man, Christopher, Martin, one half of Kid and Play, talking about how he used to look up to Fat Cat, how he used to look up to Alpo, how he used to look up to Pappy. We got it all backwards, folks. We got to stop that madness. We got to stop that nonsense. We are better than that. And we got to get everybody to understand and change whatever, man. That street stuff is overrated, man. We lost, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of our brothers and sisters to the penal, to that multi-billion-dollar prison system. We lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of our brothers and sisters, right now dying of an early grave, dying of a violent death, dying because of an overdose, dying because right now they was addicted to crack, dying because of the AIDS virus, dying because of all type of different reasons that we, as far as right now, lost soul, black man out there doing the wrong thing, getting caught up into the wrong thing for the wrong reason. You know what? Listen, man, I was once lost, but now I'm found. The difference is a lot of people was once lost, but what we have to do is, how do we join forces as one? Get everybody on that same page. Get everybody together. Stop idolizing the drug dealer, the stick-up kids, the murderers, the gamblers, anybody that's out there committing any type of form of crime, and start idolizing the garbage man. The housing, I'm talking about transit. Anybody that's out there, I'm talking about the messenger, the bankers, law enforcement, the politician, the doctors, the nurses, anybody that's out there doing it right the first time, the UPS or the FedEx, anybody that's out there that's doing it right the first time, those are the people that we supposed to be looking up to and respecting. And more or less right now is trying to be like them, opposed to being like a Fat Cat, being like a Alpo, being like a Howard Pappy Mason, being like a Brian Glaze Gibbs, being like a Unique Mecca Audio, being like a Miss T. Listen right now, being like a New York Freddy, being like Nicky Barnes, being like Frank Matthews. Listen, man, we got to be ourselves. Be genuine, be whole, be loyal, be dedicated. Stop the nonsense, man. Let's teach our kids, the next generation, how to do it right the first time. Crime doesn't